One of the most difficult things that I ever did was become a school site leader, meaning an assistant principal and principal. And one of the things that I learned very quickly is that connection with the community, trust within the community was imperative. For example, students do not learn in the classroom if they don't feel like they can trust the teacher. And the community wants to trust their principal so that they can come to them with their concerns, their excitement, their ideas. And teachers and support staff want to know that the things that you're going to offer is going to make sure that students are learning in the professional development. So, what do you do as a school principal to make sure that the entire community feels connected? And that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. Maybe you're thinking about becoming an assistant principal. Maybe you are thinking about becoming a principal. And you're thinking, there's no way that I even know where to start to build trust. Maybe you're already a very veteran principal. Maybe you're a new principal. I'll give you a little background. I was a new principal in 2014, and I wasn't just a new principal, I was a new principal of a brand new school. And I was there for just under 7 years, meaning like just a month or so before it was 7 years. And I had to create relationships with new teachers. I mean, teachers that were already within the district and teachers that were maybe a few outside of the district, and they had to come together. And I had to work with parents and, well, I should say have to. I had the privilege of working with parents to come up with ideas on what we were going to do as a school community. Were we going to be a uniform school? Were we going to, what colors were we going to have? And what was that year going to look like? Well, there were a lot of things that went on, being a new principal and knowing that we were a choice school, a science, technology, and engineering and mathematics school. I knew that the teachers were going to be implementing a specific additional curriculum, and that is going to be a little bit more than what was typical. And I wanted them to trust me. Like I genuinely just trust people like they're going to do their job. And I had to remember that not everybody thinks the same way. And there was one teacher, and I still occasionally talk to some of the teachers, said to me, Mina, not everybody is like, let's get it going. They're not as, motivated, and you have to maybe slow down to go fast. And this teacher was very similar to how I felt like, let's just do it. Let's go for it. All these ideas and, whatever you wanted to do, let's do it if it's going to help students. But that was like really good advice. And sometimes teachers or staff or parents will tell you things and you're like, nope, I already have all the answers. Well, if you think you have all the answers, you have no room to grow. So what I started to do over the years was to even, there was at least time where I would meet with them one-on-one if teachers wanted to meet with me and give me their advice. And if I could implement it, I did. If I had the money to give them extra money and they had an idea, I did it because they could use the money faster than I could, and they were going to use it to help students. And if it really was going to help students, I was all over it. And then there were times where I had parents that would just be livid with me. Instead of going on the defense immediately, like shutting down, I learned how to take a step back, let them be upset. And I also learned that during our orientation, I would tell parents like, I am okay with you being upset with me. But what I'm asking is that you give me time to listen to you, tell me what your grievances are, and let's work together because we're human. And that the human aspect of creating that community, and it wasn't just me. I'm telling you, it wasn't just me because that first year, the district almost went on strike. And we were coming up with plans. A few of the teachers met with me. I'm like, okay, so I don't want you to not go on strike. I want you to be able to do that. We didn't. But I was like, okay, so it's elementary. What grade level am I going to take? Fifth grade and sixth grade, because I'm like, okay, I can do this because I was an upper grade teacher, taught middle school most of my career. And I thought I can take them all in the NPR. Like we were coming up with what guest teachers, substitutes we were going to have. Like we were organizing it. And I wanted to support them in that instead of going on the, I can't believe you're going to strike. No, and because of that support, I really think that, we had this sense of like loyalty to the school. There was there was some benevolence and really thinking about what we were going to do as a community. So there's a few things that I want you to know if you decide to become a principal or if you're a principal. Listening to your teachers and letting them tell you the truth. Like, I don't like what you did. I feel like you're showing favoritism. And that happened. Like I was able to have that conversation. So there are three things that I really think that you, as a site leader or you were going into leadership, that before academics happen, before professional development happens, in order to build trust, here's what those three things are. The first thing you want to do is consider the 5 facets of trust. If you have not read Trust Matters by Tschannen-Moran, I highly recommend it. Every principal, new principal, assistant principal, I want to go into leadership, read this book. It gives you 3 principles and it shows you what type of principal you want to be. Are you going to be the principal that just says yes to everything, but they can't trust that you'll take action? Not so much. Are you going to be the principal that's authoritarian and teachers and staff and the community seems to always be mad at you? Nah, you don't want that. You want to have a balance. You want to show benevolence. You want to show that you actually really care. Now, if that's hard for you, you may want to start journaling because they want to know that you really care. You also want to show that you are reliable. If you say you're going to do something, be consistent, keep to your commitments. And if you can't, tell the truth. Like, something came up, I'm really sorry. Can we reschedule? The other thing is you want to be very competent. What areas of strength do you have so that you can create time for your teachers and make decisions that are based on what's best for the school and making those decisions based on input from the teachers, and be very open and transparent with your decisions. Well, the reason why you feel like there's possible favoritism, and which is not my intent, and this has actually happened to me, was because teachers would come to me and say, I really want to try this idea. Is there money for it? I'm like, well, write me a plan. Do we have money in our school site plan? And if it felt like it would work and we could pilot it, I actually said yes. And I had a few teachers that said, I feel like you're showing favoritism to a particular teacher. And I said, well, why? And they talked to me about it. And I explained to them that it's because they asked. I was very open and I said, and I'm going to actually spend a lot of time with people that have ideas that want to move the school forward. And I don't want to make someone do something they don't want to do. As long as you are showing active engagement in your class, students are talking to each other, you have success criterias, there's learning intentions, I am just going to be there to support you. I'm not going to make you do something you don't want to do. That's one thing. And being very honest about it and having integrity and authentic. Your authenticity is huge. Like, I was very authentic when teachers wanted to go on strike like this. I'm very fearful of it. I want what students to have what's best, but what is best for you as well, because you have the right to, the best classroom management. You have the right to have the best professional development. You have the right to have adequate pay. So I was honest and said, I'm scared and I don't know, I need some help in having that. So that, being reliable, having competence, openness, and honesty, that's one thing that I recommend. And I really, really recommend that you read Trust Matters. The second thing that I really believe that you should do is be very available and present during the day. Walk classrooms. Walk the classroom so that they know you're going to be there, that they know you're available. Be available if it's elementary at recess. If it's middle or high school, be available during passing periods. Be available before and after school. I rarely did work in my office during the school day. That whole 9 to 5, for me, it was 7:30 to 4:30. I was available for the teachers. My door was open. If I had a moment to send an email out during the day, I even had my phone on silent. I had it in my pocket in case of an emergency. I had to call 911. But I did my work before and or after school. The school site plan, working with the community, things like that. And if I had to work with teachers, I would get them a guest teacher during the day. I was very, very available. I highly recommend that if you do this and you set that time aside, if you feel like you have to get stuff done during the day, you will be frustrated because students will, there may be, a student may fall outside, get hurt, you have to attend to that. The things that are within your control is being available. You cannot control if a student is going to have an argument with another student, unfortunate events where students fight, and you have to be available. You can control being available. You can control that like you wouldn't believe. And yes, on occasion, I open the school on the weekend. I'm not saying you have to do that, but when teachers wanted some time to work in their classrooms and they asked, that was what I did. I wanted to be really, really available. The other thing, and there are many other things, but this third thing The third thing that I recommend is getting teacher community voice. Now, I, as a principal, I am the liaison between the site and the district. Yes, we want to implement district initiatives. We also want to get the voice on how that works from the teachers. We want to get some input from families and parents. Your job is to make sure that teachers have what they need so that they can do what they need with their students. It is not your job to tell them how to teach. It is your job to provide professional development based on what they need. No teacher was going to teach the way I taught science. Like I did an experiment all the time. I did a lot of writing, student talk, people were moving around. If teachers are showing results, students are academically involved, you want to promote that and provide that professional development. But providing professional development they don't want, not happening. Now, they will listen to you once they trust you and you say, what about this? What about this book? Here's the research. Provide all that information. But those are the things that really help support teachers. Those three things will change the way you run a school. And if you are wanting to become an assistant principals are a little different because you are there to support your principal and their initiatives and what the site needs. Principals, you are the educational leader. You are the instructional leader. You are there to support, support, support. I am taking on 3 to 5 new clients this coming year. That's all I have room for. And I'm looking for aspiring principals, aspiring assistant principals, veteran principals that are starting a new school site, and what they used to do doesn't necessarily work for the new school site. And I have a Calendly. I'm doing 15-minute discovery calls on January 11th. The times are in the description. And I also will do a Zoom call. Yes, you will have to register because I can't just open that up to anyone, but you can select your time. The time is on Pacific time, but it doesn't matter if you're Central or East Coast here in the United States. And it's a complimentary 15 minutes. And I want to just get to know you, see if this is something that works for you, and see how I can support you in your site leadership journey. When you select the Calendly invite, I will send you a list of questions so that you're ready for the conversation, because it is limited to 15 minutes, so that we can have that meaningful conversation to see if that we connect with each other and see if that works for you. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. Let me know how I can support you in your educational leadership journey.